Hello! I'm going to be doing a tutorial on LittleNavMap and the BlackBird Sim SR-71. I do have the payware scenery that Milvids also includes with KBAB or Beale Air Force Base. To get things started here, we're just going to be opening a flight plan that's already included in the plane itself. You can find that in the folder and then inside plans. Today we're going to be using LittleNavMap, so I am going to be using a random one there. For this one in particular, I have the Beale Air Force Base to Dyer Air Force Base. We are going to be changing this, our destination, instead for Dyer's. We are going to be going instead to KFFO, or Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. You'll just right-click, add as destination, and then we'll be moving these waypoints around a little bit. We want to keep the separation at about 250 miles each. And then at the end here, I like to create a little tail that is in line with the runway, about 10 miles or so. That'll just be my final turning point. For simplicity's sake, I'm just going to try to make this about as straight of a route as possible. And again, just keeping it around 250 miles or so. It doesn't need to be exact, doesn't need to be precise. And then for this waypoint right here, I'll actually... no, I'll keep that one. I'll move this one. I always like to use Lake Tahoe as my final fictitious air refueling point. And then I'll make this one just in line with the runway 2. So we have about 60 miles for a fictitious refueling period. During that time, we'll climb to about 30,000 feet or so. Below supersonic, generally about 0.72 for refueling purposes. Get over to Lake Tahoe, and then we will begin our supersonic ascent to Mach 3 and 70,000 feet. I don't think the naming scheme necessarily matters, but I do like to keep it just for organizational purposes. So we just go in here, and then to edit user point, we'll just copy this and then apply it to the later ones. We'll change the number from instead of 4 to 5, so on and so forth. Where is edit? Alright, so we have refueling, ascent, supersonic, descent. And this last one, I do try to keep it as close to 250 miles as possible, just because of descent and slowdown purposes. About 250 miles is a good range to keep in mind for slowing down and descending from 70,000 and Mach 3. So once you get the flight plan finished and everything, how you like it, we will go to export flight plan as 2024 plan. And you can save this wherever. We will just save this inside of the Microsoft Flight Simulator itself. I do have this as the Xbox version. I created a new folder, just SR flight plans, and we will save it in there. And then if you want to, you can also export flight plan to Simbrief. It will keep those waypoints as just GPS coordinates, but it is nice if you like to use, say, like Volanta or Elevatex for tracking. It does keep it as a Cessna 172. Unfortunately, the Blackbird does not have a official Simbrief profile. It is what it is. And then completely just ignore any kind of errors or anything. Again, this is strictly just for the flight plan transferring over to a tracker. Anyway, that's it for LittleNavMap. We will then jump on over to the actual flight simulator itself. Okay, so here we are loaded into the flight simulator. Again, we will be going from KBAB, Beale Air Force Base. We will open up our EFB, go to Flight Planning, hit Route, import from File, this PC, and then we'll just find that flight plan that we made. Again, once you have the flight plan loaded, hit Send, send to ATC and Avionics. We can close that, and then we will be starting today from Parking 71. It is the BlackBird Sim special hangar, I guess, if you will. I do also have this issue quite often. Whenever I select a parking spot, it pretty much deletes my actual waypoints. I do want to keep them, so again, we will just send Avionics and ATC. Interesting. There we go. That was weird. Yeah, so sometimes it does have some issues. It does glitch out every once in a while. Early access, after all. All right, so we will load in. Okay, so some keybinds that I would like to go over with you real quick are the elevator trim nose up and elevator trim nose down. I am using the wing or wing control Ursa Minor. I just have these bound to the hat switches on the joystick itself. And then also for the plane settings, I do use the GNS 430 Navaid, which can be seen over here. This actually has your true flight plan, as I've noticed a lot of times this little moving map here is incorrect. As you see, it is missing some of our flight plan or waypoints already. Like, it's a good reference, but this is true. Hide the joystick, open the interphone button, and we will be going through the RSO checklists.
Walt, are you there?
It goes in a circle from ready to start over to takeoff.
Okay.
For the most part, I will be keeping quiet during this part, allowing you to get the audio from Walt and Brian.
Daylight light. Check.
Fuel quantity gauge, check.
Looks good.
Center of gravity, check.
CGI's good.
Check's good back here. Compute's good. Oxygen supply switches,
Oxygen is good.
exterior lights,
On.
brakes,
Feel good. Okay. Ready to start.
Alright, so we are now ready to start engines. Before we do, just for this video purposes, I will be opening hangar now and closing the canopy. Otherwise, the engine starts are quite loud. Then we'll go back to RSO checklists and start engines.
Okay, Walter, I'm ready to start.
I'm ready to start engine.
And then we will engine 1 start and engine 2 start rotations. They are done by exterior start carts. Keep an eye on the engine RPM whenever it reaches above 100. We will apply just a little bit of throttle, and you'll see those rapidly climb. Go back to neutral.
Temp counter checked.
Check.
Generator switches.
Looking good, normal.
Left tire caution light.
Off. Okay, I'm disconnecting their external power coming out.
So as you see right here, it tells you disconnect carts, remove ladder, and here would be the proper time to close the canopy.
And that's the end of that.
That's it.
Alright, so here we are, fully configured, ready for taxi. And then we'll go back to RSO checklists again, hit before taxi, and start that checklist.
Regular taxi.
Flight instruments check.
Flight instruments are good. Check.
Canopy seals.
Mine is down locked.
TDI check.
So this TDI check, it requires all of the SAS switches to be engaged. You want mock hold, heading hold, pitch trim, roll trim. You'll know you are correct whenever you get a green test. You'll then see warnings across your panel here. Basically just cycling and checking the computers. The pitot heat warning at this point is completely normal. And then you'll also see some red flashing warnings over on these. Again, completely normal. Now I have run this TDI check earlier in the flows on a past flight, and I've had no issues. It does shorten the wait that this takes, because this is a rather lengthy process.
Good.
We're ready to taxi.
We'll go ahead and hit the AP cycle button just to stop that flashing. And again, it is normal for SAS to be out because we do not have any of these engaged. And at this point, Walt wants us to remove chocks, test the brakes. Ground services, remove chocks, hold the brakes.
Okay. Brakes are good. Steering's on.
And that's it. We are officially ready for taxi. I have noticed that this does take a little more throttle than you'd anticipate, being a plane that can fly Mach 3.2. Takes a little bit of power to get going on the ground anywhere. I have noticed too that you almost never want to go at 0 throttle just because of the amount of time it takes for the engines to spool up. And again, the throttle needed is a lot more than you'd anticipate. A lot of people have issues with this pillar, so they did include a click spot here at the base to remove it. Okay, here we are holding short of the runway at a staging area. We'll then go back to our RSO checklists and before the runway.
Okay, well, before takeoff checklist.
Ready. Engine run, IGV.
Set.
Engine, EGT trim.
Checking. Looks good.
Flight control and trim.
Check.
CG check back here.
CG is good in front.
Fuel transfer.
Off.
D-rich.
Armed.
Number 1, number 2 oxygen.
I've got both oxygen on and good.
Brake switch.
80 skid on.
Pitot heat.
On.
Battery switch.
Check battery good.
Instrument inverter switch.
Set normal.
Standing by for the next phase.
We will now taxi onto the runway itself, switch our lights over to landing lights. So here we are on the runway itself. We'll go ahead and turn on the SAS, and we'll cycle one of them. Then go on to the interphone and do our last checklist.
Pre-takeoff.
SAS.
Engage.
Warning caution lights.
Should have a clear panel at this point.
All our lights are good.
No caution warning.
Get back here. Circuit breakers.
The circuit breakers are in.
No mounting yet. Fuel tank 4.
Fuel tank 4.
Tank 4 on.
Compass check.
Mine's good.
Let's go.
At this point, we'll hold the brakes, slowly increase that throttle.
15 seconds to go. 10. 5.
Release the brakes. Rotate. Landing gear comes up immediately, bring the throttle back. We are trying to stay below 250 knots, below 10,000. Increase the pitch, decrease the speed. And we'll try auto nav out for this first waypoint here. I do also want to include here, pitch trim is an absolutely wonderful, wonderful tool. It's a little extreme, but it will keep whatever, and I mean whatever pitch is currently on your VSI whenever you enable it. Just for demonstration purposes here, we'll use our pitch trim that I told you about is configured onto my hat switch here. Just for a level flight, as we're crossing 0, engage. You will oscillate a little bit back and forth as it finds. But for intents and purposes, we are incredibly stable at 0 feet per minute. And we just reached our first waypoint. Let's see if this auto nav can get us over. And again, I am not touching the joystick at all. Coming across the waypoint. I forgot I have auto nav enabled. Alright, so we will be doing this turn manually. We'll go high bank, probably about 40 degrees or so. Again, we're just keeping an eye on our VSI, our speed, and then we're trying to get onto an intercept heading, I should say. And we'll go to right about there. Pitch trim, hold trim, auto nav. Sorry, roll, pitch, auto nav. Give us back to a level flight via roll trim. Pitch trim is held. Our speed's looking good. And this does fly at a very extreme high angle, just because it doesn't have a very big control surfaces. And we will look at this. Get our range down a little bit for these slow flights. Actually, we're going to want to increase our pitch quite a bit. So again, I'm not actually using the joystick itself. You can see that's stationary. I'm just strictly using the trim buttons. Went a little fast, but we are at extremely high VSI. We're coming up to that intercept heading. We'll turn the auto nav back on, see if it can capture it this time. Speed's dropping a little bit, increase the throttle. And it does look like we're banking slightly, so I think we did capture that. AutoNav does work pretty well at subsonic speeds. It's really whenever you get to supersonic that the AutoNav I've found is nearly useless, unfortunately. But they do mention in their change logs that they're working on it constantly. And as you see, we did fully intercept, so we'll just keep that. Extend the range out. And again, our goal for this purpose of phase of flight is to get to about 30,000, 30,000 feet or so, and do a simulated refuel. They do properly simulate refuel, but I am a beginner and do not understand how. Warning light came on because our surface limiters, we are going pretty fast. We'll slow it down a little bit. Actually, we are above 10,000, so the speed's not really an issue. Do know, though, about 300 K AES, or knots of equivalent airspeed. We will have to engage or disengage our surface limiters. Here's that caution light again for surface limiters. Crossing 20,000 feet right now. And then again for simulated refueling, we will stay somewhere around Mach 0.7, sorry. And we've crossed 70,000 feet, so we will begin to level off, decrease our speed, bring it back down to 0.7. First, we're just going to be working on our VSI, get that down to 0, and then engage our pitch, trim, hold. I was a little early that time. Again, I'm not touching the joystick, just the actual pitch trims on my joystick until I get this close to 0, what I'm happy with. And then we'll decrease our speed down to about 0.7, 0.71. Okay, so we're at a very stable flight of 28,350 or so. Very nice, stable airspeed. Moving up and down a little bit, but it'll be fine. For our simulated refueling, we go to Payload and Fuel, Configure. We'll just do a quick fill to about 95%, load aircraft, and then you'll see that instantly just spikes up to about 78,000. Your VSI will go over the place as you've just doubled your weight in fuel alone. Then we'll keep on this heading and everything. Looking at our GPS, it looks like we are straight for a considerable distance. And again, this is just a simulated refueling. It does do proper air refueling via the Walt wheel, interphone, tanker, and then load tanker. It does actually load one in off in the distance somewhere. But I'm not good at that. I suck. Skill issue. Okay, so we've simulated refueling. We're at a nice stable flight. Turn off air refueling. At this point, we will begin our supersonic climb and our about 70,000 feet altitude cruise to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. To get things going, we're just going to keep our level stable flight, but we will increase throttle to 100%. What we are looking for in particular is our knots of equivalent airspeed, or KEAS, is 430. At that point, we will use pitch to control our speed. We will keep it at 100% throttle until we are ready for descent. Just watch that number slowly climb. Altitude stays the same, roughly. Again, I have not touched the joystick at all, other than just pitch trim. And then pitch hold is really doing the heavy lifting here. And we are now crossing Mach 1. Crossing 400 knots of equivalent airspeed, KEAS. Again, very stable altitude. Just waiting for KEAS to get to 430. Once we get to 430, we'll disengage our autopilot. Use just the pitch trim on our joystick. And then increase that to about 4,000 feet per minute. And here, they actually did recently work on the pitch wheel, which is very useful for minor adjustments. Again, we are just using pitch to control our airspeed. Keep that number as close to 430 as you can. As you get to a higher altitude and speed, about Mach 1.3 and about 40,000 feet, you'll notice that your airspeed actually will decrease considerably. You'll almost have to go back to a level flight. This is while it transitions the engines from air-breathing turbines to ramjets, essentially. As you see already, our speed decreasing considerably. Use that pitch wheel to go down. See the speed start to come up. Hopefully. Nope, still going down. Decrease the pitch a little bit more. There we go. 421. Still decreasing. It's kind of steady. So I'll actually keep it where it is until I see a 419, then we'll decrease it some more. So we do have a turn coming up, our first actual waypoint turn. So it might be slightly difficult because we are still climbing. I have about 5 miles to go. I'm not anticipating auto nav being of much use here, but we will try it. And to my surprise, it works. Wow. But again, do not rely on auto nav. They do note in the changelog that it does not work at max speed, much above Mach 1. You can feel free to try it, but I've not had very much luck in it ever being very successful. Most of the time it actually misses the turn entirely. So during that turn we did lose quite a bit of speed. We'll have to pitch down considerably here. And then I'm just using a pitch wheel on this. Again, the implementation of it is quite functional at this point. Initial release was totally unfunctional. We are essentially at level flight. I mean, 500 feet per minute is not much. Like I was saying, around that 40,000 Mach 3, Mach 1.3, I mean, it does slow down quite a bit. But once you cross that threshold, the speed increase is astronomical. And here we are back up to 430, so we'll increase that pitch. We cannot let that number get above 460, otherwise you will be technically overspeeding the airframe. There we go, I saw it go back down to 339. So we're getting close. I'm just doing just a couple, maybe three scrolls of the mouse wheel every time it stabilizes. Just to see that number start to go back down to 430. We're actually stable here at 440. Oh, I say that and it starts to go back down. It's just a rough estimate. You don't have to be exact with it. I've just found that 430 works the best throughout the phases, transition phase, I should say. And then again, this moving map has some bugs, has some issues. As you see, we're about to cross our intercept for our flight plan, but we are actually true dead on our flight plan. Speed's coming up a little bit, so we'll increase that pitch again. And as you see, we are quickly approaching Mach 2. Now, this trim wheel does cap out at 6,000 feet per minute. As you see, we are maxing it out. Which, again, is fine. Our speed is still stable at 443. A little fast, but no issues at all. Just crossed 50,000 feet, Mach 2. Quickly approaching 55,000 feet, Mach 2.2. Speed still good. I will mention that this plane is very active to fly, just because the autopilot isn't fully implemented yet, and even then, if it was, I'm not fully sure how much they relied on it. Just between the pitch and roll trim, and the fact that you pretty much fly straight lines during high-speed cruise makes me curious on how much they actually relied on the auto nav feature. Crossed 60,000 feet. Mach 2.6. Our speed is decreasing, but again, we are supposed to be around 430, so I'm not too upset with it. We're actually going a little fast here. And we will be leveling off at about 71,000. And then we can turn off our pitot heat. We're approaching that 430 knots airspeed, so we'll turn off pitch trim, pitch down a little bit. Again, just 2 or 3 notches at a time, not actually touching the yoke, just the trim. We do still want to climb. Did a little too many touches of adjustments. Speed increase. There we go. We crossed Mach. Just trying to get on a correct heading here. And at this point further on, we will keep an eye on this. As you see, we only have about 60 miles to go to our next waypoint, quickly approaching 70,000. level that off a little bit more, get to about 1,000 feet per minute. I think we will keep trying auto nav. The update for it just came out a couple days ago. A new early access version came out. And we are crossing 70,000. Bring the nose down a little bit more to about 500. And again, this pitch trim switch does a fantastic job of capturing whatever VSI you were whenever you enable it. So I tried my best to do 500, and we'll oscillate back and forth a little bit, but it stays right on where you turn it on. And 10 miles. Approaching Mach 3.3. Auto nav's being a little weird. We'll just let it do a thing until yeah, I don't like that. Turn off auto nav, turn off roll. And then at this point we'll bank over to about 45 degrees. And we'll try to keep our best on the VSI. We are flying a little high, so we'll actually decrease our altitude a little bit. Crossed Mach 3.3.
Los Angeles Center, Allegiant 1604, flight level 23. Allegiant 1604, Los Angeles Center, roger.
And then we're just trying to get that back to cross over to an intercept. Again, I'm just using that pitch trim. Just a couple clicks each time. And turn on roll hold, pitch hold. And at this point, we're pretty much stable, steady. I'll be fast forwarding until either something exciting happens or we're ready for descent. We are about halfway through our flight here. I just wanted to make a note that I've had pretty good success with the heading hold mode. To enable that, it's going to be on the ANS by default, which is what you need for auto nav. To switch between the two, you just flick this over to INS and then engage heading hold. And then from there you can set your heading with the indicator here. I've had pretty good success with that sticking to our designated flight plan. I've seen that it turns not to the full 45, but to about 15 or so. Actually, right here is about the limit that I've had it go to. But then again, I'm not doing any crazy intense course corrections, just 2 or 3 degrees. Other than that, it's been a pretty good flight. Okay, we are back. We have about 20 miles left to go until our last waypoint, which we will initiate our top of descent shortly after. Still stable at about 71,000 feet, Mach 3.3. Just going to turn that over, try to capture that. on an intercept heading. Now that we've crossed that last waypoint, we're officially on to our descent transition. Going to turn off pitch hold. We're going to let that go down to about 2,500 feet per minute, and we're going to bring the throttles down to about neutral or so, just slightly above. Wait for that pitch trim and turn it on. We're going to aim for a speed of about 350 or so. Gonna increase our, I guess it would be increase our descent. Fuel quantity low. And we're at this point we're just gonna go down to 6,000. Or we might be descending a little too slow. We do still have 170 miles to go, and then at that point I believe we have another 10 for our, what would be our localizer for the runway. Again, we're just trying to keep the knots of indicated airspeed about 350. Crossed 50,000 feet, still at Mach 1.6, 120, 130-ish miles to go. Go ahead and pitch up a little bit here. Still have 100 miles to go, crossing 40,000. Pitot heat back on. Under 100 miles to go. We're trying to be at or about 10,000 feet, crossing that last waypoint. It should be a pretty easy approach from that point on. Due to our speed here, I almost think we could switch back to auto nav. Actually, let's try to get a better intercept heading. Auto nav back on. Those beeps you are hearing is a setting. It is the throttle detent warning tones. Whenever you hear that tone, it means that you are getting close to or exceeding the afterburner, which you do have a limited number of TEB shots. Starts with 15. We've gone through 4. Whenever you run out, engine ignition, from my understanding, is no longer a possibility. And afterburners, for sure, are no longer usable. Just crossed 34,000 feet, still have 70 miles. Mach 1.3. Getting a little fast. Remember, overspeed is 460 knots. Slow it down a little bit. We'll see if auto nav captures our flight plan here. And it did. Nice. It's just one less thing to have to worry about. 50 miles to go. Across 30,000 feet, still at Mach 1.1. It's going to be pretty easy to burn off that extra speed. I'm not too worried about that. It looks like our moving map has us doing some interesting approach into Wright-Patterson. Interesting. Speed's getting a little bit away from us. Bring the throttles back down. Descent's looking good so far. Speed coming down nicely. About across below Mach 1. I like how the gauges kind of glitch out a little bit around supersonic speeds. From my understanding, real life gauges do that too. $30 miles, 25,000. And then if we were at lower fuel, doing a longer flight, you'd just level off at about 27,000. Same thing we did for that refueling, and then you just go through the process again through the EFB. Again, you can do simulated refueling through the interphone and the waltz wheel. I'm a rookie. Skill issue. Crossing 20,000, about 10 miles to go or so. Then we'll have another 10 miles for that approach. A little higher than I wanted to be. Go ahead and increase our descent to about 4,000 I mean. Nice, auto nav's getting us again. Actually, runway in sight. I'll go visual from this point on. I have a lot of altitude to bleed off. Neutral on the throttle. We'll pitch down pretty aggressively here. Keep an eye on that speed, crossing 10,000. About 10 miles to go to the runway. I'll actually do a pretty wide loop here. Let that speed bleed off. Again, I was truthfully trying to aim for about below 250, under 10,000 feet, try to simulate some real world procedures here. Absolutely came in too hot. This is a speed machine after all. I like our altitude for our distance, so we'll try to level off a little bit. Surface limiter below 300. Start to bring up the throttles a little bit. Remember, they do take a while to spool up, so just anticipate that. we go. Speed's looking good. Just need to do the rest of this 180 turn. Runway inside again. It's off in the distance. This closer one is a museum. Don't be fooled by those runways. Speed's getting a little high. Bring those throttles back. Going to be aiming for about 220 knots for landing here. Let's get lined up with the runway. So what I try to do is I try to make landmarks off to the side of this pillar for the start of the runway. Another thing I like to do is I like to try to use the taxiway entrances. Again, you can completely remove that pillar. Speed's looking good. Assuming we're lined up pretty well. A little high. Come down a bit. Gear down. And throttle neutral. We'll just float her down. Bit of a bounce there. And parachute coming out. Track parachute and taxi away. And we'll just find a nice place here in the apron to park. Seems good enough for my purposes. And throttle's coming off. Fuel cutoff. Place the chocks, ladders, and unseal the canopy. Open it up. And that's it for this tutorial. I hope it was helpful. Thanks for watching.